3 suicides in just a matter of days. They have shaken 2 communities that are still grieving from deadly school shootings. Police in Newtown, Connecticut found the body of Jeremy Richmond this morning. His daughter, Abiel, was killed in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting back in 2012. Richmond died of an apparent suicide inside the building that housed the foundation he dedicated to his daughter and also to mental health issues. Just on Saturday, a second Parkland, Florida student died in an apparent suicide. The student's name and age have not been released, but authorities do confirm he is a juvenile. This comes just days after another Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting survivor, Sydney Aiello, took her own life not long after being diagnosed with PTSD. Her mother said that she had suffered from survivor's guilt because her best friend was killed in last year's shooting. And when you look at the last 20 years, suicide rates have increased in nearly every state. In 25 states, the rate of suicide is up by 30%, underscoring the importance of having a conversation about this very issue. Dr. Kelly Posner Gerstenhaber is with me. She is the founder of the Center for Suicide Risk Assessment at Columbia University. And Dr. Posner, thank you so much for being here and having a difficult but incredibly important conversation. When you heard that one child and then another took their own lives after 17 people were already murdered down in Parkland, and especially after you helped lead at that suicide prevention event down there last year, and now the Sandy Hook dad, though not connected, how do you handle this?
Well, Brooke, I have to say that sadly, these occurrences aren't surprising, but the very good news is that we can work very hard to prevent them. And let me start by setting the context of how suicide is of crisis proportions already for youth and their communities. Did you know it's the #1 cause of death in adolescent girls across the globe? Second leading cause of death in 10 to 24-year-olds, kills more people than car accidents, more firemen than fire. But the good news, again, is that we can prevent this. And what do we know that we need to do? You know that 50% of suicides see their primary care doctor the month before they die. We need to be asking.
I read that you wrote that. How is that? When you go to your doctor, I know you make this point that, our society doesn't think of mental illness as we do, say, cancer or heart disease. But when you see your doctor, what kinds of questions do they need to be asking their patients?
Well, what they have started to ask and what they need to ask is, about suicidal ideation and behavior. It's something called the Columbia Protocol, a very simple set of questions that can be in everybody's hands so we can actually identify the people who need help. Before, we didn't know who to worry about and we didn't know what questions to ask. And I also wanted to say that, many adolescents who show up to the emergency department that have tried to take their own lives are not there for psychiatric reasons. So if we're not asking everybody, we're not going to find the people suffering in silence. But Brooke, we know that even that's not enough. The undersecretary wrote an urgent memo that we must go beyond the doctor's office with the Columbia. We must put it in everybody's hands, the coach, the teacher, the peer, before if they ever get to the doctor. And that's how we're going to find people who are suffering and connect them to the care that they need, to prevent these tragedies.
Well, can we go there right now? I mean, we have prepped a graphic. Guys, throw it up on the screen. These are the questions you're talking about. This is the Columbia Protocol. This is what not just anyone can be asking. And so can you just run through, starting with, I see #1, have you wished you were dead or wished you could go to sleep and not wake up? What are those key questions, Dr. Posner, that any parent, anyone watching right now can ask of someone they love?
Can and should. So have you wished you were dead or actually had thoughts of killing yourself? And if that's yes, have you thought about how you might do this? Have you had these thoughts and had some intention of acting on them? Or have you started to work out the details of how to kill yourself? And very importantly, have you done anything, started to do anything, or prepared to do anything to end your life, like write a note or collect pills? We were never asking about all these serious suicidal behaviors before these simple questions. And we know if they say they had some intention to act on their thoughts, we know that that's where risk jumps like 50%. And again, when people are suffering, they want to be saved, they want to be asked. So it's very important to treat this like blood pressure, so we can identify people who actually need help. and get them that life-saving care.
Yes, I'm talking to Ryan Petty, who you know well, founded the Walk Up Foundation, and we'll talk to him next hour about some signs of progress. But Dr. Posner, thank you so much. We've had the suicide prevention hotline up on the screen, 1-800-273-TALK. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brooke. I'm grateful to be here.